Hello everyone, Christina here. Welcome to another weekly live here at my YouTube channel. Tonight we're going to do a little bit of alcohol marker coloring, specifically with OLO markers, and it's mostly because I wanted to make sure that I'd let you all know about some exciting opportunities for new markers and things like that. So we're going to get into that in a moment. Hello everyone over in the chat. Hello. So I was live with my members, gosh, I think it was last week, and we were talking about just like coloring and like no line coloring and things like that. I ended up doing some no line watercoloring with them last week, but today I thought I would break out the alcohol markers because I haven't done any like marker coloring in what seems like ages, right? So we're going to do a little bit of that. And also what prompted this is because OLO Marker just announced at the end of last week that they are going to be adding a new kind of tip to their marker line, but they're doing it a little bit differently. Instead of just, outright, here it is, you can order it now, they're actually doing sort of like their own Kickstarter campaign, where if you are interested in getting these new tips, they're fine tip nibs, that's what they are, and I'll show it to you. If you want to get these for your OLO markers, you can kind of pre-order them in advance, and then when they're ready to ship, you will receive them. So I don't know if any of you are like have complete set syndrome like I do, but I'm going to be wanting these, the fine tip on the end. So here, let's just take a look at this. They did send me some pre-production samples, and I hope they're okay with me sharing these. They probably are because they've got pictures of them on their website, so it's not that big of a deal. But all right, so currently their markers have two different tips on them. Let's zoom in here. There is a brush tip, looks like this. There is a chisel tip that looks like this. And then they are adding a fine nib. Do you see that? See the difference there? I'm kind of thinking that the perfect marker for me will probably be brush tip on one end, fine nib on the other. So that's probably where I'm at. Question in the chat. Lola's asking about, was there a release at Concord and Night this month in June? No, there is not. They had a big inventory blowout sale, and then summer camp. They do that every year. They do the big sale in June, and they have summer camp. So they do not have a release in June since it's such a large event that they have to deal with. So hopefully that cleared it up. But come July, we'll be back on schedule every month. Okay, so let me get out some paper here. I'm going to be using the OLO blending card. Let's see, I thought I had a smaller piece in here, but I guess I don't. We're getting out the full sheet here. All right, so with a chisel tip, I'm just gonna let you guys know this is how it goes. With the chisel, you can do like a broad, a little more narrow. You can sometimes kind of turn it the other way and get whoa, that's really dark, bright. Even get a little bit more detailed. And then you've got the brush tip, which allows you to like change the thick and thin of it. But it's hard to keep like a consistent line weight because of the nature of the flexible nib. I do love coloring with those because they're fantastic. So when it comes to the fine nib, it looks like this, and you can get like small little strokes like that. So it's really good for coloring in little tiny nooks and crannies and corners on like small images like Lawn Fawn or Mama Elephant or Clearly Besotted or even some of the ones from Simon Says Stamp. So the OLOs are going to be great, like the fine nib are going to be good with this. Now, if you're familiar with, I think COPIC has a fine nib as well, pretty sure. I haven't really used those from COPIC just because I'm a brush tip gal with those, and they do have the chisel on the other end. But yeah, So that's kind of what it is. It's a little bit more of a firm tip, and you can do some good like blending and getting into the nooks and crannies. It has about the same potential for a thin line as the brush tip, except with the brush tip, you will get that kind of wobbly variness just because of the nature of the flexible nib. Okay, so I'm going to give you some details on this pre-order that they're doing. So I've got a link down below in the video description. That link is an affiliate link that they've shared with me since, I want to make sure you guys know. And I'd appreciate it if you use that link. You don't have to, but if you do, I get a little bit of a kickback, and that's amazing. But when you do the pre-order, you're going to get up to 20% off all of the fine nibs, the fine tip nibs. So what this is, okay, let's see. If you get the full 256 color set, you get 20% off. If you get the 128 color set, it's 15% off. And if you get the 64 color set, it's 10% off. Now, here are some things you need to know about this. This is most definitely a pre-order. They have not gone into production yet. They've developed the markers, they've developed the fine nibs, but they have not actually put them into production yet. That's how they can give you this like pre-production price. And they're running it sort of like a Kickstarter in that once they have met their production goal, then they will put everything into production. They're aiming for a delivery date of spring 2027. So it's maybe a little less than a year from now. And because you're going to have to wait that long, you're going to get that pre-order price. So it's kind of fun. I remember they did this at the beginning when they first announced their markers, and a bunch of you got in on that founders deal. And it's a great way to get that really low pricing before the price goes back up. Once these are in-house ready to ship, you're going to have to wait, and for that waiting time, you're going to get a little bit of a price break. So I did ask, I went through their website to kind of figure out some details. If you would like do the pre-order and then at some point you're like, I don't want to wait anymore, or you got to get your money back, they will allow you to get a refund. You just have to contact them. And also, if like this pre-order price will last about 4 to 6 weeks. That's what they're estimating. So if you want to think about it for a little bit before you pull the trigger, you definitely can. But they're kind of guessing that they will get to that goal within 4 to 6 weeks. So pretty guaranteed that you're going to get your markers if you pre-order. And they're an established company. I've worked with them pretty closely over the years since they came out with their markers. Fabulous group of people. They have a great team over there. And they will get you your markers. This is not a scam. You're not going to get swindled out of your money. So I just wanted to let you guys know about this deal, because if you miss it, that's quite a bit of money that you left on the table if you do want these markers. I think they're pretty great. So with that being said, we're going to use some OLO markers today for some coloring, and we're going to do some images from Mama Elephant's new release. Oh, my bird, sorry. My camera is still very zoomed in. Let's zoom out. Let's zoom out. Dorothy says, that's how we did as founders of the company. Yes, it's exactly like that. So if you were a founder years ago when OLO came out with their markers, this is a similar deal. It's a great way to get in on the ground floor on your collection. Okay, let's look at the Mama Elephant's June release. I don't have all of these linked down below, but I have the one we're going to be using today. So kind of fun. They came out with like some Halloween type images. So they've got three Halloween stamp sets. I feel like my camera's really bright. It's kind of crazy. I'm not sure what's happening. So we've got some Halloween images. Super, super cute. Zombies. They're adorable. If you know anyone who loves zombies, you're going to be all over this. There's even like a little zombie cat. He's so cute. I love that. All right, we're going to be using this stamp set today. This is the Boo Crew. I think it's pretty cute. Like you can have it say Boo with a B and an O and then another O. I think it's just so cute. They also have two items that are not Halloween related. And there's this one. This is Fall Harvest. Love that little scarecrow. And look at this dog. He's like running. He's so cute. Oh my word. And then this little bunny, he's like leaning against something. He could be leaning against the tractor or, you know, the little, oh my word, it's so cute. He could be leaning against the scarecrow. Adorable. All of these have coordinating dies, by the way. And then this one, look at these fun greetings. Mama Elephant does such good greetings. Look at this. This isn't a thank you card. It's a hug for the person who makes the good days even better. Small card, big love. Just a little paper hug to hold you over until I see you. Just a little hello from my corner of the world, yours. Such good sentiments. Because you deserve to be celebrated on a random Tuesday. I think it's pretty cute. My heart is still smiling for the person who makes life a party. You are wonderful in every single way. Such good just greetings in general. So this is called Still Smiling. So we're going to be using, we're gonna break out the Halloween stuff. I know it's June, but I really don't get to do Halloween because by the time I'm thinking about Halloween, which is more like September, I'm deep into Christmas. So this will be fun. Okay, I'm going to get these out of the packaging here. And we'll do some stamping. You know what? I totally forgot. One more thing I was going to go over before we get to the project today. Sorry. One more thing I totally forgot. It's linked down below. If you are a video description person, you've probably already seen it. I just got an email last week from Sandy Allnock. Some of you may have also as well if you have purchased any of her products before. Sandy Allnock, I would say within the crafting community, the thing that everyone kind of knows about is her hex chart. She has kind of like swatching hex charts for a bunch of different coloring mediums that are out there. And personally, I have used her hex chart for COPIC markers and her hex chart for OLO markers. But she has put together OLOs and COPICs together into one chart so that you can see how the colors compare to each other across both lines of markers. And the OLOs and the COPICs work really, really well together. So a lot of you who may have, you know, some COPICs and some OLOs, you probably use them together. So having a chart that has them together would probably be pretty useful. So I went over to her site. It's art-classes.com. And I actually downloaded or purchased, I purchased this myself, the chart. And I'm sure she's talked about this on her YouTube channel. But it like is really big. When I saw her email, I was like, how is she going to get all those colors on one page? She didn't. They're on 2 pages. So you actually can like cut them together. And if you want to, you can, you know, glue them like this. There's a little bit of color overlap. So I think I'm actually just going to put them like in a plastic sleeve, just back to back like this so I can see the colors. Or I might decide to put them like this. But so there's a color one that she has provided all of us. If you just want to just print it out, you don't want to worry about the swatching. But I'm going to do what I've done with my other charts, and I actually printed out the black and white version so that I can, you know, color them myself, and then I get the most accurate color possible when I'm looking at these. And it's also a great way to like assess what markers you want, what markers you need. I have a few Copic markers that have dried up over the years. I know this is a problem for a lot of people right now. So it's a good way to assess like which markers you need new tips for, which ones you need refills for. So it's a good exercise, and it's also really great to just like put on a movie and do some swatching. It's always good. So I wanted to let you guys know about that. Those are like some two recent developments in the crafting alcohol marker world. So I wanted to let you guys know about Sandy's chart. I remember years ago, I saw her at a crafting retreat, and she was actively trying to figure out where to put all these colors in her hex chart. So she has spent hours and hours and hours working on these charts. And I think they're very valuable for any of us who are using these particular markers. So let's get into it. Andrea says, I love the one with Prismacolors, that you can also print it on other colored papers if you want to swatch on those. That's a good, I hadn't even thought about that. But if you have different like cardstocks and cut different mediums that you color on, you could do a swatch for each of those. Like I have my swatches for my Karen markers, I have them on both Bristol paper and my favorite watercolor paper. It's kind of the same idea. I love that. Rebel Soul says, what markers are best for coloring on acetate for the stained glass look? Probably just any alcohol marker in general, I would say. Dana's asking, is the 96 set the new colors? You know what? I'm not sure. I haven't compared. Let me shoot a text over to Lori Craig. She works for OLO. And I can ask her really, really quick. Or she might even be in the chat. I don't know. Quick question. Are the set breakdowns the same as how the original colors were released? i.e. the 96 set are the most recent. You know, I suspect that is what it is. Oh, she's texting me right now before I can even send it. So she's probably watching. She says yes. She says yes, that's how they are. Before I could even send it, she's like, yes. Oh, yeah, she's there. She's in the chat. There we go. There was a delay. Lovely. All right, so let's stamp this and get this going. I've got to cut down my OLO paper because it's, you know, and you know what? I also need to adjust the brightness on my camera. I don't even know what happened. I feel like it's like super bright. All right, that's my really, really old card that I use for color balancing. Okay, maybe if I zoom in a little, it'll adjust. Okay, let's do that. All right, I just want to make sure that those colors are pretty bright. All right, we'll just go with that. Let me cut this down and then we will stamp and start coloring. I'll just cut this to a smaller piece. All right. Thank you, Lori, for answering those questions. She will know much more about the details than I will. I just like coloring with them, you know? Oh, Amanda, love that you use a handmade card for color balancing. Yeah, I don't even know when I made that card. I think it was probably back in like 2010. It is so old. Just getting some water. I'm parched. It's so dry here. Okay, so this is the OLO blending card. I think it works really, really well, specifically with the OLOs. And I apologize if I keep saying COPIC and OLO interchangeably. It is so hard, y'all. Because I love them both so much. Okay, the other thing that has been a new development in my, well, not that new because it's been an issue for a while. For those of you who do lots of coloring with alcohol markers, you might have noticed that there has been a little bit of a change in the black inks that people can use for your coloring with alcohol markers. I noticed a while back, I think it's been about 1.5 years or maybe a little bit longer, that the ink formulation for some of our inks that had been alcohol marker friendly are not quite as alcohol marker friendly as they were before. So I'm going back to an old standby today. We're going back to Memento Tuxedo Black. In fact, it's a brand new one. I haven't even opened it. Let's see. I think I'm going to end up coloring these and then die cutting them out. I guess I could also mask them, but I think I'll just use the dies. So I just need those. Is there a blank for the, yes, go to the link down in the video description. It's not in the supplies, it's right above. And it just says, OLO and COPIC hex chart. I believe that's what I labeled it as. I'm gonna open up this ink pad. Has anyone else experienced like the black inks not, you know, like they're smearing a little bit? Like my old ink pads are great, but the newer ones, or like even like the reinkers, not so good. All right, I'm going to stamp this a few times because I do remember when I used to use Memento a lot, that it never got like a really, really solid black line right off the bat. You'd have to stamp it a couple times. All right, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. Catherine says, I was hoping for a blank chart also so I could color it in, as my printer doesn't do color very well. And I was hoping it might be less expensive. It's true, but I get why Sandy has priced it at that point, because there was a lot of development time to put into it. I created my own OLO chart that is available to my members here at YouTube. I can show you that. Ta-da! This is my own OLO chart. It doesn't have the COPICs, it just has the OLOs. But this is my own chart because I wanted them in the same order as how they are stored on my Razzcog cart from IKEA. So, and there's a few colors here that don't fit. What colors are they? Like they're like the blacks that don't fit on this chart because they're not on my storage cart. But if you want this chart, it's available to my members here at YouTube. And if you are a member and you haven't seen it, go to the post and scroll back just a little bit. I think I shared it probably, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. All right. Actually, I don't want to put that right there because it keeps getting stuck to my grip mat. Oh, Irene says, I absolutely swear by the Lisa Horton Cloud 9 Solid Black Detail Ink. No drying time needed or anything. It's fantastic for alcohol markers and watercolors. Oh, okay. I'm going to have to look into that. I've only ever used the color shifting inks from her and also the metallics. So thank you. Melanie is saying, yes, she said issues with smearing lately. I'm hoping that I won't have any smearing today, going back to Memento, and also like, you know, speed drying it with my heat tool. I'm really hoping. Question about the pre-order. Yes, you by pre-ordering in advance, you lock in that price, and then they will ship them to you when they are available next spring. So you're buying them before they go into their big production run in Japan. Okay, hold on. There we go. I just noticed that this little ear didn't stamp all the way, so I'm going to see if I can fix that. This is a Copic multi-liner. It's a it won't smear with the coloring with alcohol markers. I'm just making these lines a little bit more solid because I missed that spot. Sometimes I wait and see if I even need this because I probably will be using blacks on this witch's hat. And it probably wouldn't even do anything. You know, like once I have the black, it gets the line. Okay, let's do a little bit of coloring. I think it's going to be really, really cute. And I will be referencing my own little OLO chart that has all of the current colors. Like I had a 160 color chart, and then when they added the additional colors, I'm like, oh no, I need more. I need more for swatching. So, you know what? Let's do the pumpkin first, because I think that'll be a good one. Let's see. And I have not picked out all my colors in advance. I apologize. Let's see here. We'll find some oranges here. Let's see here. I'm thinking like we could probably do 2.1, 2.4. We might even need that 2.2. Yeah, we'll get that 2.2. 2.4. Ooh, I think I might just do all of those. Just right in that line. I think that's probably a really good transition there. And also, here's another tip for you if you're new to alcohol marker coloring. If you're working on like a slick surface like a glass mat, it's helpful to put some paper underneath just in case it bleeds through, because it'll hit that glass and you don't want it to come back up and come back into your paper. All right. We'll just start with the lightest colors first. In fact, maybe we'll do these three. We'll just start on this cute little pumpkin. All right. Let's hope that, looks like the black ink is pretty good. I'm just gonna do a solid coating of that color. I can zoom in a little bit too. I'm gonna do a solid coating of that color, a nice layer. Coming in with the next darkest color, and I'm just adding that in the areas that would be the darkest. And basically I just want that lightest color only where like highlights would be. Make sure I have it right under our cute little bunny too. Then I'm going to go to the next darkest color and add more of that color. Just getting that right up in there. All right. I'm going to go back to, well, we'll go to the next darkest. We might not even need the darkest color, but when we've got 2.5, I'm just going to add that just a little bit. Okay. And I don't know if I'm going to need the darkest color. I don't think I will. I want a little more of this color here at the bottom. So I'm just going to let that kind of go up. Then I'm going to work backwards. Now I'm going to go to the next lightest color. I want more of this bright orange pumpkin shade. Go to the next lightest. Now it's like really honing in on just where those highlights are. And then the very lightest color, I like to just go over everything. And I think that kind of blends everything together really well. So now we have our little pumpkin. Now if you wanted to add, in fact I think I still might, now that I'm looking at it, I'm going to add the darkest color, which was 2.7. I'm just going to put that in like right along the darkest areas, just down here at the bottom, just to add a tiny bit more contrast. I think that's a good thing to do. And then I'll add a little bit up here too. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to take the next darkest and just blend that out just a tiny bit. It's a lot of like working back and forth from dark to light and light to dark. And then you can use the lighter shades to really force the colors to blend. I think it always works really well. All right, so there's our little pumpkin. Ta-da! All right, we'll probably use these same orange colors again. Not entirely sure where, but we probably will. So I'll keep those out. All right, so I'm going to have it have the bear with the B, and then we'll have the bunny for the O, and then the last one will be the candy with the little, is that a fox? Yeah, that's a fox. So let's figure out, I'm thinking maybe we'll do kind of like a limey green and a purple. I think that would be a really fun kind of Halloween color vibe. So, all right, let's get some greens going here. I'm gonna go back to my little chart here. And I'm thinking like, I think these greens up here would be nice, like some more of these like bright greens. So we'll just do YG 1, 2, 1, 4, 1, 6, and 1, 7. 1, 2, 1, 4, 1, 6, 1, 7. I do love how OLO has their numbering system. If you want to just have a nice like light to dark, it's nice. All right, so we'll do this for the B, and then I think I'll have the candy be purple. All right, so I'm going to get my lightest colors prepped. I like to just have them in my hand, ready to go, so that I can switch between colors quickly. Okay. Maybe since the B is a little bit smaller than the pumpkin, we'll start with the darkest shade. And I'm just going to put the darkest colors in here, like at the bottom, like on these edges here. There'll also be like right underneath the bear. Okay, probably those spots. Then I'll go to my next darkest shade. I'll just add that on here. And then the next one, I want to reserve a little bit for the lightest shade. I'll just put that right here. And once again, I can use that lightest color to kind of go over everything. And I think that really kind of forces everything to blend together. It's not perfect shading on this letter B, but pretty good. I'm gonna come in with the second darkest color and just blend that out a little bit more. And I can clean up these edges with the 0 here in a minute. All right, coming back in with that lightest shade. All right. Sometimes you can like color the lightest shade over an area and it sort of pushes the darker color away. Just like the nature of alcohol markers, right? I put a lot of ink down there, and so I'm having some bleeding outside the edges. I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'll come back with my 0 marker. At least I think I have my 0 marker out here. It was out here earlier. Yeah, there it is. So the 0 marker, I can just come back in and push that back into the lines. All right, let's do the purple candy down here. I do really love the OLO purples. I'm thinking like, kind of like this purple vibe. I think that could be really fun. Like this, the BV colors. Maybe even a little bit into a little more of the violet where it's not quite so bluish in tone. So let's see here. I think it could be interesting to kind of mix them a little bit. So maybe we'll do, yeah, I'm going to do BV00. Where is it? And then V21. That might be a weird mix. Taking that back. We're just going to stay in this column right here. I was like second guessing myself. We're just going to do the BV 0 through 0.5. We'll just do that. Make it easy on ourselves. People are saying volume's low. Quieter than usual. My mic might be a little further away. I just turned it up a little bit. Hopefully that's better. Also, when I get coloring, I start to talk like softer. Just because I'm like focusing on what I'm doing. Let me know if that's a little better. I'm also talking a little bit louder too. That helps. All right. I think what I did well, let's start with the lightest colors first. All right, let's see. I think I probably could do just a full coating of the lightest purple. We'll do that. And then I'm going to come in with the next darkest color, and I'll just put the areas that would be the darkest. Okay. We'll also do right here. We're probably going to have that all the way up to the top there. And we probably, let's see. Okay, I'm going to go to the next darkest color. In fact, maybe we'll just kind of finish off this one little segment and see how it looks when it's at its darkest. I think that could work. All right. Because these are I want it to be like every other color. So these would be the darkest areas. And then you can come in with the lighter shades as it gets up to the top. All right, and then for these other like individual areas, I think I will have the darker shade, but it will be, you know, I'm just not going to let it get quite as intense. Because I want there to be like a definite color difference. That's pretty cute. I like it. Love it. Let's see here. Groovy Girl Cards is asking about what's on the other end of my markers. On some of my OLOs, I have, it's brush, but on some, they are brush chisel. I mixed them on accident. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to when the fine nips come out, because then I'll just make all of the other ends on the brushes. It'll all be the fine nip. Okay, I think I want to sort of combine colors. I think I'm going to have the cape on the bear be that same purple. I probably shouldn't have taken all the caps off. I want it to be the same purple, just so we have some continuity between all the different elements of our little scene here. I don't think I'm going to go to the very lightest color though. I'll just go to the second lightest color. All right, so now our little bear. I think I'll have the cape and the hat on the fox be black, but maybe I'll have the ribbon. Actually, maybe I'll have the cape be orange. I think that would be really kind of nice. So I'm gonna grab. So it would be a nice nod to the rest of the orange that we're working with here. All right, so we'll just do, actually the fox is going to be orange. So maybe I don't want it to have an orange cape. I just thought of that. It'll be green. I'm glad I caught that before I did it. Okay. Adding a little bit of green right there. I'll put a little bit on the brim of the hat. It's a very small little area. This would probably be a really good spot to use those fine nib markers if we had them. All right, so just a little bit of green. We need the orange fox, and I think I'm gonna change up the oranges I used just a little bit. I actually probably could use the same ones if I wanted, but I think I want it just a little bit more of a yellowy orange. So I'm just looking at my chart here, like what I could do. Let's see here. Oranges did I grab? Maybe I will just use those same ones. No, I think I'll use more of these kind of like orangey browns. I think those could be good. Hold on, my Apple Watch is freaking out. I'm getting like 5 million notifications. All of the camp counselors are very chatty from summer camp. So I'm gonna have to mute them for now and I'll catch up later. Okay. You know what? I think I will use the same oranges because I keep gravitating towards those on the chart anyway, so I might as well just use them. And that'll work out because we're going to have this next to this one. Will be right over here, so it'd be a little bit away from that. Okay, just add a little bit of my darkest color, like right underneath the brim of the hat. Base of the ears. Well, the ears are usually, aren't they? Don't they have like black on the tips? Am I remembering foxes right? That is a huge, like peppermint candy. All right, I'm just putting the darkest in. Now I'm coming in with the next darkest. It's a very, very orange fox. And then I'll come in with that lightest color. It's actually probably a little more orange than I would like, but it'll harken back to the orange pumpkin, so I think it'll work out. Okay. For the white areas on the fox, I'm just going to grab kind of a light gray because I just want just a little bit of shading, and there's not a whole lot we need to add. So I'll just add a little bit of this warm gray. Just probably might not even show up too much on camera. It's pretty light. And I'll also do that for the wrapper on the candy. Any other white here? I think I might as well just grab another warm gray color, and we'll just do the little bandages on the bunny for our mummy bunny. All right, I'm just going to add a little bit of the darker, kind of where the shading would be. And I'll do the lighter gray. I'm going to leave a little bit of a white spot on the little mummy bandages so that it'll read white. Okay. I always like the bunnies being kind of like a yellowy brown. So we'll have a brown bear, and then we'll have kind of a yellowy brown bunny. So I think I could do, sorry, I'm looking at my chart here, kind of a yellow brown bunny. I think we could probably do like somewhere in this range right here. So maybe like YO, I'm gonna say 202225. Maybe even put the 23 in there. Okay, where are you? 232522. And I also need to add a little bit of a blush on their cheeks, and I happen to like R22, so I'm going to do that first on our lovely little fox down here. We'll just give him cute little blushy cheeks. He's so cute. And then we'll start in on these, the yellows. All right, I think I'll start with the darkest color again, like I was doing before. Just a little bit of that darkest shade. Then I'll go to the middle color. We're going to have the inside of his ears be a nice pink, so I'm not worried about that. Then we're doing the lightest shade to fill in the rest of it. And then we'll use that same pink color for some little blushy cheeks. And then the inside of the ears. I think that would be really cute. Oh, so cute. In fact, I might even add just a little more color at the base of the ear for a little shading. All right. Let's do the black for the bat and also the hat and on the fox. So I'm just going to use some like dark grays. I'm going to switch to my cool grays instead of warm. Actually, no, we'll keep them with the warm. We'll keep it with warm. So I think I'll end up doing 3, 5, and 7. And it can get really dark really fast. So I'm going to start with the darkest color and use it kind of sparingly because, like I said, it can get dark really fast and I don't want it to be like to lose any of the shading. I'll add just a little bit of that 5. And then we'll do the lightest color. We can always go in and add more of the darkest color, but we can't take it away very easily. To a certain extent you can with that 0 marker, but best to just not even go there. That is a really, really cute bunny. I love him. All right, our bat here, I'm just going to cover with the lightest gray. And then I'll just add a little bit of the medium and a little bit of the darkest. I don't know that we really even need to add much of the darkest because it's such a small image. I'm going to come back with the lightest color and just color him in a little bit. So cute. Since I have that W3 out, I think I do want to add a little more shadow on the white areas, just a little bit, since they are looking a little anemic in comparison to everything else. There we go. All right, we only have the bear left. And this card is going to be so simple. I kind of have like a go-to thing with Mama Elephant images and cards. I love to have them just like on a white, maybe very softly ink blended background. So I'm sure that's what I'm going to do today. All right, for the bear, let's do our 07 series. I think that'll be perfect. We'll just go from 7.1 to 7.5. I have so many markers out on my work surface here. I will show you guys when we're done here because I'm going to have to clean them up. Angela over at Mama Elephant, she's the illustrator. She creates all of these cute critters. She's so talented. I love all of the stuff that she does. All right, I'm just adding, this marker seems to be particularly juicy. Before it glops anywhere, I'm gonna scribble it a little bit. Seemed like the ink was coming out just a little bit quicker than normal. Sometimes that happens. Oh yeah, see, there we go. I started to get a little glop. Let's put the cap back on that. And I will use the chisel tip because I think I'm going to have a little more control. Like I could just barely tell that there was a little bit of a difference in how the ink was coming out. I've had a couple markers like that, you know, in all sorts of brands that have done that. So before it gets out of control, I'm like, I'll just do that. It's nice that it's the darkest color because I won't use that one quite as much. Now these lighter colors I'll use a whole lot more on the image. Look at the chat here. Question, would the bleeding occur if you add clear embossing ink before coloring? Some people do that. That's their main solution for that issue with the smearing of the stamped lines. I just remember back in the day when I did like my COPIC classes, like from COPIC. In fact, it may have even been a class with Lori, who's in the chat here. And they really advised against using any sort of embossing ink or embossing powder with your alcohol markers because the alcohol ink will eat away at the embossing powder, the melted embossing powder, and it will start to absorb into the nib of your marker, and then it can ruin the marker. It doesn't happen all the time, but it can, and so you just need to be aware that that is a possibility. All right, I'm gonna go in with my second darkest color again. I think I want to just get a little a little more blend on this down here. I realize I need to get some underneath right there. Okay. Go for my second darkest. Again, actually, no, we're going to go for the lightest and just blend that out. Pretty good. I think we'll stop there for the bear. Okay. Need to add a little bit of that. You know, the bear probably doesn't have pink in his ears, so I'm just going to do the lightest color, or the second lightest color actually. We'll just put that in there. But he does need pink as a little blush on his cheeks, because I think that'd be really adorable. And you know how I said earlier, sometimes the lighter colors will eat away at the darker colors? This is a good example. See how like that pink is sort of eating away at the brown, so that you have a little pink dot on his cheeks. So cute. All right, the bee is now dry, so I'm going to take my 0 marker, and you just start a little bit away, and then it will start to push the color back in. Let me zoom in so you can actually see what's happening. This is like extreme close-up. Okay, so see this area right in here? I'm going to try to get that to go in. It's almost like you're nudging it back into the line so that it moves the color. I'm just like giving it a minute, and then I'm nudging it back in. This is also a good time to hit it with your heat tool. Because sometimes if the paper is still wet, the color can come right back where it was. So I'm just cleaning that up a little bit. All right, so the color's starting to go back. I just want to nudge it back to the black line. That's pretty good. And I'm zoomed in really far, like on my monitor, I'm like, oh, there's still lots there, but in my looking at normally I don't see it. I just learned over the years, if you're doing corrections like this, it's best to have a heat tool so that you can really freeze the color in place. Yeah, that cleaned up pretty well. I think I want to do a little more up here though. Just little dabs. Go back in green. Oh, thank you, Terry. Terry in the chat's talking about C9 summer camp from the weekend. It was a really fun event. Concord and Ninth always puts on a really good event. All right, I think I'm going to stop there. I don't think I need to do any more. Okay, you guys want to see how many markers I'm using? Like, for real. It's overtaking my desk. I'm going to have to put them back in their spots where they need to go later. Because that's a lot. Oh, there's more over here. All right. We don't need to be zoomed out quite that far. But now we're going to do, oh, look at this. Here's the back. And it did go on to my piece that was underneath a little bit. So that's good that I had that underneath. All right. So the dies have walked off. There they are. All right, these need to be cut apart, so I'm going to cut them apart. We just need the bear, the bunny, and the fox. That's the bear. And then that's the fox. Lovely. I'll just cut these out. Yes, zooming in always reveals more. Absolutely. Does OLO have a chart with the names? Yes, they have this one. This isn't the most updated, but I believe they do have an updated version of this with all the colors on there where it has the color underneath. The one that I've been using, this is the one that I created myself. That is available to my members here at YouTube for free, just like part of their membership, I guess. All right, so I want to make sure that these cut out really, really well. So even though I do have a really strong magnetic mat, I think I probably will utilize a little bit of tape here to hold these dies in place. So I've got to like look at it really overhead to get everything lined up just right. I think it's always worth it to like really slow down and take your time when you're centering these dies. Okay. Oh, Allie, she's saying, wait till I do my supply list. You know what? When I do alcohol marker coloring, I don't list all the colors I use. I just list the markers in general. I used to do that. I used to list all the colors, but it was just so time consuming. Oh, Bonnie's asking, was I wiping off the tip of my marker, like the blending one? No, I was not. I've never really needed to, but I suppose that might be something you might need to do. Oh, that was a little bit off on the B, but that's okay. Oh, they're so dang cute. Mama elephant. Adorable. Okay. So we have our cute little guys here. We're going to do an A2 card. And we will have these guys just like this. So it'll say boo. Isn't that cute? They're so adorable. Now I think I'm going to, from the stamp set, I'm going to stamp some of these bats like just up at the top. And then at the bottom I'm going to put have a frighteningly fabulous Halloween. But I do want them to have a little bit of a horizon line. In fact, maybe, yeah, we're going to do a horizon line and we'll do like a soft blue above and down below, maybe just like a black or a gray or something. In fact, we could do black and then do white embossing on top. Do I want to do that? No, we'll just do a gray. All right, I'm going to get a little bit of masking tape. Let's see what masking tape I want to use. I'm going to use my old standby Post-it removable labeling tape. Unfortunately, it's not in the supply section because I didn't know what I was going to be doing. But it's going to be about, I think I want about right there. So I'll move these away. And in fact, I'm going to open up my card so it's flat. I'm going to use my grid mat. And then I can just sort of, I'm thinking about right there. Just tape that down. And for the blue color, what blue is going to look nice like that? I think I'll just grab a little bit of Harbor from Concord and 9th, and as far as the gray goes, we'll do Mushroom. Be a little bit darker, but that'll be okay. Okay. I'm going to use my big, huge blending brushes from Pinkfresh for the blending. I think I also want to fold down my card so that I don't get anything above. Lawn Fawn's Platform Pop-Up. I don't know. All right, so I'm starting my blending down onto the Post-it tape. And I'm gonna start blending up above. I've got quite a bit of blue ink on here, so it's gonna be a mix of other blue inks and then also Harbor. All right, I'm getting like quite a bit of a blue thing there. Let's just put these on top to see how high I need that blue to go. I think it could go up just a little bit higher. So I'm still kind of keeping it down right on the horizon line, but I'm letting that color kind of move up just as I blend out a little bit. I'm also going to come to the side, each side. I'm not letting the blending go all the way to the edge on the sides. I want it to still be pretty soft. I'm kind of thinking if I do a little bit of a darker blue, it could almost look like nighttime sky. So I think I'm going to lean into it. I'm going to grab a darker blue. I think I'll just go to Blueberry. It looks pretty dark right now as is, but I also know that that'll go back a little bit. So we'll just do a little bit of Blueberry. Just getting that blending up. I want that nice soft edge all around the outside. Okay, so now I'm going to lift up my Post-it tape. So I have that nice sharp line, and I'm going to move my Post-it tape to, I'm going to open up my card again. I want it to be right at that edge, as close as possible. It can even come into the blue a little bit. Like it could be a little bit, have a little tiny bit of blue showing. Because I want to make sure there's not a white gap. All right, now we're going to Mushroom. I'm going to switch to another really soft blending brush from Pinkfresh. And we'll do, you know, I'm concerned about that opening right there at the top. So I'm just going to put, here's that cardstock I was using before. I'm just going to tape that up above so I don't accidentally go over that Post-it tape. All right. We'll just get that mushroom coming down here to the bottom. Once again, I'm focusing on the blending kind of right here so that it just gets the outer edge of the bristles of the brush. That's going to help make sure I don't have like too much color all in one spot. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Lovely. And you know what? This Post-it tape is still pretty good. It's not too saturated with ink. I could put it on the side of my die cutting machine and I could possibly use it for another project. All right, we'll put these inks away real quick. And then we will stamp our sentiment. We could probably even adhere our little critters and then stamp the sentiment. It's probably not a bad idea. Let's do that. So I'm going to have these little guys on foam adhesive. So got some foam tape. Where'd you go? Here is it. Oh, that's really thin foam tape. Hold on. You want the regular foam tape. Got a little bit left right here that I can use. Oh, Donna played Mahjong and you won 3 games today. Yes. The jokers were with you. Hopefully. All right, so I'm just going to add. Okay, where are my scissors? There they are. Just adding my little foam strips to the back here. It's probably enough. One more little guy, our little pumpkin dude. These are only going to be overlapping a little bit on the edges of the images, so it's totally okay. But I'm just kind of doing them randomly. Okay. All right, let's get these guys on the card where they're going to go. I also need to be considering the sentiment that's going to go down below. So just make sure I have enough space, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be about right here. So I think that would be a good spot for them. Leanne says, call me weird, but there's something mesmerizing watching Christina apply foam strips. Or do I need a life outside crafting? Well, my dear, it sounds like you might need, you know what? I'm not one to say you need to go outside and do something, because I realized last night that I have only been into my backyard very few times. We've lived here for 5 years and I've only used the backyard. My husband's back there all the time. I have not been back there very often. And last night we were playing Mahjong in the backyard and it made me realize, oh, I should come back here more often. Okay, I'll put that little pumpkin bunny right there, and then we'll do this right here. And then we'll stamp the bats and the greeting at the same time. All right, we'll just do this little guy. Should we put him underneath? Over, under? I think we'll go under. There we go. That looks about right there. Picked up the stamp while I was at it. All right, so we're almost done with our card. Oh, I was talking very, very softly. Sorry, Nancy. I was talking very softly. All right. When I'm doing very detailed work, I tend to just talk soft. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Get that kind of centered about right there. And then pick that up. I'm glad it picked it up really well, because that means that it's not too popped up on the foam tape. Amanda, Christina is focused and mumbling. It is true. I'm using Versafine, Clair, and Nocturne. I could use that Memento again, but I think I'm going to get like one and done stamping with this. I'm hopeful. Yeah, there we go. Versafine Clair never does me wrong. Okay, so now we're going to add those bats in there just for a little something. And then I might use a white gel pen and add some little sparkles. I think that'd be kind of fun. Like magical little sparkles. You could maybe even call them stars if you want. Actually, I think I'm going to put this bigger one down here. And then we have another small little bat right there. I think I'll do 3 bats. I'll do one more above, so I'll have to move it. It's sticking to my nails. I'm trying to decide exactly where I want this bat. Right there works. Okay. Same black ink. Oh, I have something on that stamp. It's a cat fur. Oh my word. That looks like, is that Kevin or Fred? It looks like that. I think that's Kevin. All right, so I'm just gonna ink up the other one. There we go, that's more solid. I'm gonna clean off the stamps, and I am still concerned that there still might be a little bit of ink on there. So I'm going to use the little plastic from the stamp just to protect my project while I put another bat on here, just like right there. And then that will just protect it. And then I can just pull that up. And then we'll stamp this bat again. Oh, they're so cute. You could call this card done, but I think I will add those little sparkles and little magical things with a white gel pen. All right. Zoom in a little bit here. I'm using a Jelly Roll number 10, and I'm just going to do like some little dots. It's going to make it look like stars. And then add some little X's that kind of look like little sparkles. Add one right here too. Maybe it's a little bigger. I also like to have 2 together, and then maybe I'll have one that's by itself over here. I'm gonna have 2 right here. Maybe they're right by each other. Maybe I'll have a 3rd right there. So it's just a little hint of some little sparkles. I love little details like this. Ta-da! Stephanie's saying, or snow. It does look like snow if it's like a winter scene, but definitely with this scene, it's giving, well, for me, it's more like stars and sparkles. Yeah. All right, I'm just gonna get a bone folder just to really crease that down so it wants to stay. But there we go. Love that. Now I'm up in the corner. Hi, everyone. Okay, so the stamp set and the markers I used are listed down below. I'm gonna have to update the supplies with, let's see, the Post-it tape that I used for masking, the inks I did for the ink blending, and also the additional ink of Versafine Clair for the black, the greetings and the bats at the end. But other than that, this is pretty done, and the supply list is pretty complete too. Okay, so we're gonna, for those of you who maybe missed the beginning of the video where I talked about a couple of things. The first thing we're going to talk about is the OLO Fine Nib. It's almost like a Kickstarter, but not really. It's kind of like you're reserving your fine nib markers for when they come out next spring. They will ship them to you as soon as they're done. As soon as they reach their goal for funding, things will go into production. So the sooner that they do that, the sooner we can get our markers. But they are kind of giving us a rough estimate of spring 2027. So just be prepared for that. We're going to have a little bit of a wait before we can get our new markers. And I really do feel like the ideal marker for me is brush on one end, fine nib on the other. I think that's where my jam is. I'm still going to hold on to my chisels. In fact, I like to have a complete color on a marker, like each tip. But I think what I'll do is I'll take my chisel tips and I'll put those end to end with different colors. And then the full color will be the brush and fine nib. That's I think is where I'm going to end up next spring once those ship. So the link for that is down below. It is an affiliate link. I appreciate you all using my link. It gives me a little bit of a kickback, and it lets me know that you guys value me bringing you this information. It lets OLO know that they value giving me a heads up when this information is being released. I really appreciate them giving me a little bit of a sneak peek so I knew what was coming down the pipeline. Big thank you to Lori, who's been in the chat answering questions. She's so fantastic. She knows the product so well. She uses it every day. She does a lot of training and classes for a bunch of different events and companies. She's fantastic. The other thing that we talked about at the beginning of the video was the OLO and COPIC hex chart from Sandy Allnock, which is available now. Someone mentioned in the chat they were kind of surprised at the price point. For what it is and for how often you will use it, and you'll only buy it once, I think it's absolutely valid. It's a great price. It's a great way to support Sandy. She's been doing amazing art instruction for the art and crafting community for 15 years, like over a decade, long time. She knows what she's doing, and she's taken all of that knowledge she's built over the years to build her hex chart. And the COPIC hex chart, which is the one that I have used in the past, use it all the time, practically every time I'm coloring with my COPICs. And now I'm excited to make a new chart that has them together so that I can better utilize all of my markers all in one go. So those links are down below, both to the new combined hex chart and also the fine nib funding campaign for pre-orders if you want to join and be kind of a founder and get those fine nib markers at a discounted price. You can get up to 20% off. If you are a full set syndrome girl like myself, that's a 20% discount when you get all of the existing colors in the OLO line. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. A lot of people in the chat are saying they love Sandy's hex charts. They're saying they use them. They're fantastic. And if you are one of my premium members here at YouTube, don't forget you can get, this is just my OLO chart that I shared with all of you. I put it together a while ago, and it's just because this is how all of my OLO markers are stored. It's the exact order, so then I can even put the markers back in the exact spot back on my cart. And if you are a member and you're looking for that file, I think I even have a picture of the top of my Rasca cart maybe. Just scroll down, look at the post, you can find it. It's back a few months, you might have to scroll a little bit, but it's there. In fact, maybe I'll just post it again since we're talking about it now. I'll just post it again. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Big thank you to Mama Elephant for sending me their release for June. So many cute stamps. We've got those zombie stamps. We have that great kind of harvest stamp with all the cute farm animals. And then we have that great sentiment set, which I think is going to be fantastic for so many different cards all year round. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We made it under 90 minutes. I was concerned. Sometimes Copic coloring can take a while. I mean, let's be real. But I'm glad you're here to join me, and I will try. Yeah, we need to do a little outro for the edited replay, don't we? Let's switch over to that. So this is the finished card for tonight. I think that turned out super, super cute, really well. I love those images from Mama Elephant. Just a reminder about the OLO Fine Tip, or Fine Nib, I should say, the Fine Nib campaign they've got going right now. If you want to get in on that special pricing, you'll want to go to the link that's in the video description down below. Big thank you for using my link because it is an affiliate link. Let's OLO know that you guys value the information I bring you, and it's a great program that they do. So, and they have great product. Another reminder about Sandy Allnock's OLO and COPIC hex chart. That link is also included in the video description. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you in another video very soon. Thanks for watching. Okay, if you guys have any other questions, let me know. Yes, Cheryl. Cheryl says, Sandy has put a lot of work into her charts. They are worth the money. Use mine every time I color. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, it seems like it's a lot for what you get, like just the printout. But then when you realize how often you use it, it's worth it. Totally worth it. All right, everyone have a lovely week. For those of you who are premium members here at my YouTube channel and you are at the mail art level, which is Supporter Plus. I did think about that for a minute. Supporter Plus level. We're going to be doing mail art live on Wednesday afternoon. So come back and join me Wednesday afternoon for an envelope. And if you are also one of those Supporter Plus members, don't forget to submit your name to the form in case you want your address used for this month's envelope. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I will see you all very soon. Thanks for watching.